Hello and welcome to the Digital School. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a St. Dwynwen's Day card using Adobe Creative Cloud Express. Now, Creative Cloud Express is the new and exciting development to the old Adobe Spark, and you can access it through Hub. If you would like a free PDF explaining the main differences in this new app, then click on the link under the video or visit digitalschool.wales/introduction to CCX. The St. Dwynwen is the patron saint of all lovers in Wales, and we celebrate her on the 25th of January every year. But who was Dwynwen? Well, Dwynwen was a daughter to the King Brychan, so she was a princess, and she fell in love with a prince called Maelon, and they agreed to be married. But Maelon turned a bit nasty in the end, and he decided that he didn't want to marry Dwynwen anymore, and it broke her heart. Now, God saw that this happened, and he turned Maelon into a big block of ice. Then he gave Dwynwen 3 wishes. Her first wish was for Maelon not to be frozen anymore. Her second wish was to hear all the problems of every lover in Wales. And her third wish was to live on Ynys Llanddwyn as a nun and to establish a church there. Ynys Llanddwyn is attached to Ynys Môn, Anglesey, and if you go there today, you can still see the ruins of a church that was originally built back around the year 500 by St. Dwynwen. Now, we're going to be making a card, something similar to this, and as you can see, it's got a poem written there. Now, you could write your own piece of poetry, and that would be great, but if you haven't got time to do that, what about using a piece of Welsh poetry to do with love, like something from the song Ar Lan y Môr, or perhaps the song Tra Bo Dau? Once you've got your poem sorted, let's jump straight into Adobe Creative Cloud Express to start making this card. First of all, log into Hub and then scroll down and click on the tile for Adobe Creative Cloud Express. When the Adobe Creative Cloud Express homepage loads, click on the plus icon in order to open up the new project menu. From this menu, click on Custom Size Graphic. From the new menu that appears, choose Print and then select Card, which will give you a 5 by 7 inch design size. Click on this and then you can click on the Next button. So the first thing we want to add to this page is a suitable image. Now I want to add a picture of Ynys Llanddwyn, the island where Santes Dwynwen lived. So to do this, I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to search for Ynys Llanddwyn. From the standard Google results, I'm going to click on Images, and I would like to find a high quality image. So to do that, I'm first of all going to click on the Tools button and then make sure that I've chosen large image sizes. When you've chosen your image, click on it, and then on the large version that appears, right-click on this image and choose Open in a new tab. The image will open in a new tab at the highest resolution possible. So what we want to do now is download this image. To do that, right-click on the image and this time click on Save Image As. On the window that pops up, click Save. So now I'm going to move back over to the Creative Cloud Express tab and I'm going to click on the Photos button and then I'm going to select Upload Photo so that I can get that image onto the design. My Downloads folder opens up and I can see here at the top the image that I've just downloaded. So I can click on it, click Open, and that image is going to load onto my design. The next thing we're going to do is turn this image into a heart shape. To do that, first of all, make sure that the image is selected, that you've clicked on it. Then, over on the right-hand side panel, you'll see a button called Crop and Shape. Click on that and then scroll right down to the bottom of the panel and you'll see a heart shape. Click on that heart shape. What happens then is that a heart shape is cut out of the image. And as you can see, I can then move the image behind that window, deciding which parts of the image will be visible and which parts aren't. It's also very useful to use the scale toggle, this slider here. Now by sliding that, I can zoom in on the image, and in fact, I could set it so that I don't see the cottage at all. In fact, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Once you're happy with how the image is framed within the cutout, you can then click on this tick, the Done button. And now we can see the cutout, and you can resize this shape with the image behind it as you wish. Next, I'm going to add a background to my design. So, over on the left-hand side, you can see here the button Backgrounds. In this search bar, I'm going to look for love, or you could look for hearts. Now, you could also search through the geometric patterns, as you can see beneath there, looking for some more abstract backgrounds. But for this design, I am definitely going to look for some kind of hearts. So I'm going to type love. It is St. Dwynwen's Day after all. So you can scroll through the backgrounds that come up on your search, and you can choose any one of these. Now, I think I'm going to scroll back up and use this gold one because it's going to work really nicely with the colour of the sky in this image of Ynys Llanddwyn. When you click on the image, you'll get this pop-up. Now we want this as a background, so we're going to click on Pin to Background, and it'll automatically fill the entire page for us. Now what we're going to do next is add hearts as an overlay design to this main heart. Now to do that, we're going to come over to the left-hand side and we're going to click on Icons. Now in the icon search bar, I'm going to search for the word heart and then click Enter. And I'm going to search for a solid filled heart with a shape that's quite similar to the original heart on the design. It doesn't have to be a complete match as long as it's quite similar. This first one's fine. Now we've reached a point in the design process where you need to start thinking about your colour palette. You need to choose 2 colours that you're going to use consistently through this design. Now I don't really like this peach colour, so I have decided that I am going to use this dark green colour on my current palette, and I'm also going to use this purple colour from my brand. Now, if you want to scroll through and browse other colour palettes, choose the colour panel and you can decide on a palette which includes 2 colours that you'd like to use. So, to change the colour of this heart, I'm sure you already know, I just need to click on it, and then on the right-hand side, here's the colour picker, and I'm going to select my first colour, this lovely dark purple. Now, of course, this present heart is totally covering the heart that we've just designed behind it. So what we're going to do in order to see that is experiment with the blending modes. Now over on the right hand side you can see at the moment that we're on the normal blending mode, which means the colour is solid. But you've got 2 other options there, multiply and screen. Choosing multiply will show the layers behind the present layer whilst darkening the image. Screen works in a similar way, showing the layers behind, but lightening the image, like this. And we're going to be using the screen blending mode a lot in this project. Now, you'll remember that our new heart, the one from the icons, isn't exactly the same shape as our original one. So to hide this and to be a bit creative, we're going to rotate that heart around a little so it overlaps. Now what I'd like to do is duplicate this purple heart. This one you can see in our layers stack down here. And with our new heart, I'm going to change the colour. So make sure that you've got your first coloured heart selected in your layer stack, so clicked on it. And then up on this upper menu, I'm going to choose the duplicate button. And now I've got another heart. Now, with this second heart selected, what I'm going to do is change the colour to my second chosen colour, this lovely dark green. And now I'm going to rotate this heart the other way so that we get more overlapping layers. So, if we take a look at our design, you can see now the 3 layers overlapping, with the blend mode showing the hearts in the background, with the colours blending into each other, and I'm sure you'll agree it's a really striking design so far. Next, we're going to add a label at the bottom of this card to make sure everyone knows that it's for St. Dwynwen's Day. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is come over to the left-hand side and click on icons again. And this time, I'm going to search for the word ribbon. So we're looking now for a long horizontal ribbon. Something like this could work, or something like this is fine. You decide. I'm going to go for this one. So I'm going to click on it and add it to the page. And remember, it's totally up to you which one you decide. So I'm going to resize it a bit and make sure it's centered at the bottom of the page. That purple line, the dashed line, helps you to find the center of the design every time. Now remember to change the color of this icon, this ribbon, to one of your 2 main colors that you've used so far in the design. Then once again, I'm going to change the blend mode to screen so that that ribbon is faint at the bottom of the design. So next we need to add text to this ribbon saying Dydd Santes Dwynwen. So to do that, of course, come over to the left-hand side, click on text and then add your text. Over on the right-hand side, let's type it in Welsh. Dydd Santes Dwynwen, St. Dwynwen's Day. And let's put the date in Welsh underneath it. Ionawr, January, Ionawr, 25, 25. And now it's just a matter of resizing and placing this text down on the ribbon icon. Remember about these buttons, the zoom in and zoom out buttons on the bottom of your Creative Cloud Express window. It really helps when you're working on small parts of your design to zoom in on that area. So I'm going to make sure I've got a small line spacing and make sure that my text fits tidily on this ribbon, something like this. And then this white text isn't working for me, so I'm going to change that to one of my main 2 colors, either the dark green or perhaps the dark purple. No, I think I'll go back to the dark green. Now, as you can see, my ribbon design came with this circle, this circular frame on the left-hand side. Now, maybe you don't have one of these on your design, but I'm going to fill that. Now, you could fill it with maybe the school logo or perhaps another heart, but because St. Dwynwen is a special day for Wales, why don't we use the Welsh dragon? So let's go over to the icons button again, and I'm going to search for Wales this time. So I'm going to scroll through the results and find a circular Welsh dragon. Here we go. Here's one here. So I'm going to click on that, add it to the page. Now I'm going to zoom back in because this is some careful work I've got to be doing here. So I'm going to shrink that down and fit it inside this circular shape on the side of my ribbon and resize it again carefully and make sure that I'm happy with the placement. Now, if you'd like to do something like this, you could always add one of those circular ribbons that we saw in the icons. They look like rosettes, if you remember. Now I'm going to change the colour of that dragon. First the green, perhaps the purple now for a change. Now let's look at the blend modes because that purple on that dragon is a bit too strong. So let's try screen. It's a bit too pale. Let's try multiply. Now that's better, but perhaps it's still a bit too strong. So what you can do if neither of those options work for you is change back to normal and then use this, the opacity slider. This toggle makes whatever you're sliding it on more transparent, which gives you a similar effect to the blending modes. I'm happy with that. I think that that was definitely the best way of getting that dragon icon to blend in best with the rest of the design. Okay, so it's time now to add our poem to the card. So obviously we're going to click on the text button And once again, we're going to use add your text. Click on that, and then over on the right-hand side, we're going to enter our text, making sure that we separate the lines properly. Okay, so my text has been entered here, and now it's time for me to resize this text box. And what we're trying to make sure now is that the lines are showing properly. There we go, something like that. And I'm going to center it. Now then, the next thing I'm going to do is add a background to this text, because at the moment, it's not very legible, as it's not very easy to read at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a colored rectangle behind. So to do that, we need to use icons again. So to do that, I click on icons and I'll search for rectangle. And you want to use one which is a filled rectangle. So something like this, a solid rectangle. So I'm going to click on that. And when the rectangle appears, the first thing I'm going to do is drag it down into place. Roughly hide all of my text. And I'm going to overlap it right over the sides of the card. Okay, now then, I'm going to change the color to one of my two main colors for the design. And in my layer stack here, I'm going to drag that right down nearly to the bottom. Right then, let's use a blending mode. So I'm going to use the screen blending mode, and there we go. As you can see, that rectangle now is blending with the background behind it, and it's lightened the page whilst doing so. So it's better already. I can definitely read it easier, but you've maybe guessed it. I'm going to click on that rectangle. I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to click on the duplicate button. And you've probably guessed what's happening now. I'm going to change the color of this duplicate to my second color. There we go. And yes, I am also going to rotate that a little bit so that the design of these rectangles match what we did with the hearts up above. Now then, that font does look all right, but because my poem's a little bit silly, I think I need a bit more of a fun font for this. So when I click on the text, obviously I can change the fonts over here on the right-hand side. Now, I don't need to teach you how to do that, but what I'd like you to experiment with on this project is to not use one of these standard fonts, because do you know what? We've seen them now a million times. Instead, I'd like you to come right down to the bottom of the fonts panel and click on more fonts, because in this window, you've got a load of different font categories, font families here. For example, because my poem is a bit silly, I'm going to pick the fun category. And then when I click on fun, over on the right-hand side, I can see a load of different fun fonts. So I'm going to scroll down through these fonts and choose one which I think is going to work on my card. Something like that. That definitely matches the mood of my poem. Now then, when you change a font, you'll notice that very often it'll change the size of the text as well, because different fonts are different sizes. So when you've changed your font for the last time, I would suggest that you maybe resize again, just to make sure you're happy with it. Right, I click off everything. I'm happy with that. I think my card looks fantastic. It's finished. Now the last thing to do is to put the artist's name on the bottom of the page. So once again, click on text. This time you could use add your text, but I'm just going to use one of these quick templates for my name, and I'm going to use this first one here, the donate here. There we go. That's my Santis Dwynwen card ready to print off. Okay, congratulations, the card is finished. Now that's ready to share digitally or to print off on paper. Remember, if you'd like that free PDF giving you an introduction to Creative Cloud Express, then click on the link or follow the URL on the bottom of the screen. That's enough for now. I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.